Cinemajaw is sponsored by Overcast, an independent podcast app that embraces the open world of podcasting instead of locking it down. No exclusives, no premium content, no paywalls. Just a great podcast app for everyone. Get it for free in the App Store. Thank you.
Listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from our respective homes in Chicago. My name is Matt K, and with me is
Rod the Movie Guy, and sitting inside the fish tank is Filmy and Phil.
How's it going, guys?
Matt, this week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we get colorful, we get bright, we get happy as we cover our top 5 favorite colorful films.
Yeah, Technicolor, man. I mean, these are the movies that dazzle the senses and perhaps come with an epilepsy warning.
I think maybe this is an early one to throw into the fish tank. Did we ever do our favorite black and white movies? I believe we have.
We did. It was with Tom Dreesen, the famous comedian who palled around with Frank Sinatra. Yep.
Right.
Unless I'm mistaken, so double check me in the fish tank.
Okay, so we have done favorite black and white movies, but this week on Cinemajaw, we're looking at colors, movies that have a very bright and extensive palette of colors.
Exactly.
And it ties into one of the reviews that we have this week, but we have a lot going on in this particular episode, don't we, Phil?
Yes, we do. So we are also going to be announcing a brand new theme for the month of November, as well as during the fish tank section, we're going to go over some feedback that we got from you guys.
Not to mention, we have reviews of Over the Moon, which is the tie-in, and Borat subsequent Moviefilm, very long title after that.
Matt, we also have a great guest who's going to be joining us shortly.
Yes, we do. Taila Howe is one of the organizers of the Chicago Underground Film Festival. So I can't wait to talk to Tayla about that.
Same here. You know, in a difficult year, I'm so excited that the Chicago Underground is putting on a festival again. I think this is their 27th year. We'll talk to, figure it all out. But I believe we're right around 27.
Yeah, I believe you're right. This is our third year, if I'm not mistaken, getting to talk to the people over at Cuff. I'm pretty sure we were there for the 25th, and last year we spoke to Brian, so getting to know the whole Cuff fam.
Can't wait to talk to Tayla. Also, Matt, movie trivia. And I don't want to announce the movie trivia just now. I'll wait until we actually announce the new theme. So let's start there. We've been celebrating actors, actresses, directors all year, and November means we have a new theme, Matt.
That's right. The theme for the month of November is Amy Adams. She's got a new movie coming out called Hillbilly Elegy. It premieres on Netflix November 24th. So we figured this would be a perfect time to celebrate the career of the great Amy Adams. She's a true talent.
So with Amy Adams, we have A for Amy and A for Adams. It is, Matt, in alliteration. And I asked you if you knew what an alliteration was.
Which frankly
prior
is an
to
insulting.
recording.
That's an insulting question. Do I know what alliteration is? Jesus, come on, man.
So we are going to be playing actress alliteration movie trivia. Think of actresses that have the same letter, first name, last name.
Okay, so no, Cher will not be an answer on any of the questions.
No chance.
Okay.
No chance. So we are celebrating Amy Adams all month of November. Very exciting, as she's one of my favorite actresses.
Ditto.
So Phil, let's start with an Amy Adams fact.
Yes, this week's Amy Adams fact. Amy Adams nabbed the role of Lois Lane in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, as we all know, but she also quite possibly played the saddest villain in Smallville history. So back in 2001, on the 7th episode of Smallville ever, Adams put on a fat suit to portray Jody, an overweight teenager who accidentally quaffs a vegetable shake tainted with kryptonite.
Wait, what? What?
She had kryptonite inside a milkshake?
No, a vegetable shake, which I don't fully know the difference between that and a smoothie. I think maybe IMDb could have put that in instead, but
the fact is kind of amazing that Amy Adams actually was in Smallville circa 2001. I've never seen the show. Matt, have you watched Smallville?
I was not a big fan. I know that there's a huge rabid fan base out there that, like to meet up with the actors at Comic-Con and stuff. Didn't know Amy Adams was in it, that's for sure.
Nor I. She didn't get her big break in the movies till 2005, so definitely one of those up-and-coming actresses at the time when she was on Smallville. Interesting. So it is a jam-packed jaw, wouldn't you say there, Matt?
As always.
Yes. So without further ado, we bring in our guest. Taila Howe is a programmer over at the Chicago Underground Film Festival, which is celebrating, I believe, their 27th year. Tayla, welcome to Cinemajaw.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So we were talking a little bit before we hit record about what a film festival looks like during a pandemic. So it's been different for every film festival. How are you guys dealing with it over at Cuff?
Yeah, man, it's we truthfully needed to take a step back, like right when the pandemic hit, because it was pretty close to when our real fall, not fall, but spring festival would have been in June, to kind of figure out how best we can put on a festival that still stays true to kind of the underground community. So I'm stoked that we've been able to bring that through in like a drive-in form this year and through a super sweet Minecraft concert to do the kind of big festival after party inside a game. So there's different ways that I think we're using
Wait. Back that up a sentence. What did you just say?
Yeah, our official after party is inside this futuristic world that we built inside Minecraft. And
really?
So, yeah, dude, it's super cool. We've like built replicas of the Empty Bottle and Taila Howe.
What?
And the Garfield Park Conservatory.
I'll be there. I will be
dope.
there.
It's super dope. So it's like you can go with your friends and characters and like come and play these games inside this futuristic Chicago and like listen to pre-recorded set lists inside like, Minecraft version of the Empty Bottle. So there's ways that we've, I think, been like, we could do something different and cool and bring in different kinds of underground people who are in different realms of the internet, which we wouldn't have thought about doing, if COVID didn't come around. So there's some silver linings.
Yeah, that is really cool.
It's really neat. The festival starts November 9th and runs through the 22nd. Mm-hmm. A lot of short films. You got some good programs. And we also have Sleaze Lake, which we had the filmmakers on. And we have reviewed and talked about Sleaze Lake. But tell us some other highlights of the festival.
Oh, dude, Sleaze Lake is going to be so good at the drive-in. They're bringing out a lot of their vans, which I'm like super stoked about. Highlights of the festival, I would say shorts program number 6 is really cool. I'm a big cannabis advocate, I would say. And shorts program number 6 with a nice like hybrid strain is like hysterically dope and awesome. And like the animation in that program is just super cool. Zorg 2 specifically is like super dope.
Nice.
I would say Paper Shadows is also an experimental, more like black and white kind of intro to experimental film, I would say. This is kind of my, Cuff is the place I learn about weird, different ways to make movies kind of stuff. So it's like the stuff that I'm seeing this year it's so much better than, just stuff that you'll find on Netflix. Cause it's like,
it's underground.
It's underground. It's like, you pay attention to it because it's just something that I haven't seen before. And it's like, holy shit, like these people are still like, they're creating super dope stuff with not a lot of money. And it's like, that's really cool.
Tayla, it occurs to me, for new listeners who haven't heard our interviews with people from Cuff in the past, can you give us like the elevator pitch, like the one sentence pitch for what Cuff is?
Chicago Underground Film Festival is like, this year we're saying like it's the cool cousin of the film festival circuit. So films that never would have or might not have the opportunity to get programmed in more traditional film festival circuits like Sundance or Toronto International Film Festival. I mean, some of them, the filmmakers at Cuff definitely screen there. But it's valuing work that is trying new approaches to already established filmmaking practices and being like, all right, I could do this in a different way and make it look really cool. And maybe it will take half the time and cost a quarter of the price. And they're leveraging their resources in a way to make a film that isn't like anything I've ever seen. So it's got this kind of edgy, different, raw, like I've never seen stuff that I've seen at Cuff anywhere else. And
that's the name of the game.
It's cool.
It is really cool.
It's cool and weird, and like the best kinds of weird, because you're like, damn, I've never seen anything like this. Like, this is really weird. And like, for attention spans right now, you know, stuff has to kind of grab you and suck you in a different way to like keep you there. And a lot of this stuff, I'm like, what are they doing? You know? Yeah, that was a little bit long of an elevator pitch.
Well, I was going to say that the Chicago Underground Film Festival, having that, you want that sort of underground edge to it. And you've played at, in years past, like the Logan movie theater and such, but a drive-in is pretty damn cool for the Chicago Underground. I can see this scene really playing out really nice for you guys.
Me too. And all of the films that are playing there are Chicago. So all of the shorts films are Chicago filmmakers. All of the features are Chicago filmmakers. We even have this segment in between Chicago Shorts Program number 2 on Friday and Sleaze Lake that's featuring These Days magazine. Are you guys familiar with them?
Don't think so.
They're like up and coming music review Chicago musicians coming out of Chicago. So they do different kinds of more, I would say like hip hop kind of, you know, short documentaries. Have you heard of Kevin Koval? Chicago kind of hip hop old scene. But he has a sweet like 7-minute documentary in there. So we're bringing different underground crews together on Friday. So you got like, you know, the Chicago Shorts, like experimental, you know, kind of stuff. And then like the Sleaze Lake skateboarding crowd, and then like kind of hip hop crowd. So it's going to be a sweet melting pot safely of people.
That's
Sounds
wonderful.
like a hell of a party.
And then the after parties in Minecraft. So
then the after parties in Minecraft. Yeah.
This is great.
Brilliant.
So the Chicago Underground Film Festival kicks off November 9th, goes through the 22nd. Where should we send the jawheads listening to this that are in the Chicagoland area that want to participate in this film festival?
The Cuff website, cuff.org, www.cuff.org.
do it, jawheads. We'll put links in the show notes as well.
Cool. Yeah, everything's on there, and it sends you to the Chi-Town Drive-In website directly from Cuff's website, so you can get tickets to the drive-in there, which you should totally do sooner rather than later because they're selling out.
That's
good.
awesome.
Which is awesome.
All right. So Tayla is going to be sitting in on this entire jaw. She has her top 5 favorite colorful films picked out. Before we get there, though, Matt, we have a review of a very colorful film, don't we?
Oh, yeah. The latest animated offering from Netflix is the brightly colored and emotional Over the Moon. In the works since 2017, it's a reimagining of a classic Chinese myth about a moon goddess and love lost. But is this day-glow trip to the lunosphere worth your rocket fuel, or is it just bubblegum stuck to your shoe? Ryan and I fired up the boosters and built a rocket to the moon.
Oh, poor lady, that goddess. So lonely up there on the moon, dreaming of her one true love.
Holy the archer! Show!
Jin! It's just a silly myth.
It's not a silly myth. It's real. She's on the moon right now, waiting for her true love.
Right, Papa? He used to believe in her. If Papa could only believe again.
Rye, Over the Moon is simultaneously a movie that you should totally watch on acid and a movie you should absolutely never watch while on acid. The opening moments will remind viewers of Up in terms of pacing and tone. Yes, that part of Up. We meet young 6-year-old Fei-Fei, who's living an idyllic childhood in the bakery of her mom and dad. Her days are filled with romantic mythology recited by her mom and basking in the love that flows between them all as a family. By the end of the first song, that happiness is shattered by the untimely passing of her mother to a nameless illness. Flash forward 4 years, and 10-year-old Fei-Fei and her dad... Flash forward 4 years, and 10-year-old Fei-Fei's dad awkwardly introduces her to a new woman and her son, two strangers that would be her new stepfamily. Obviously, Fei-Fei must build her own rocket ship to travel to the moon and prove to her father that her mom's stories about the moon goddess are true, which will stop him from remarrying somehow. Over the Moon is visually dazzling. The colors pop out of the screen and are so bright and vibrant that they nearly pulsate right through the screen. The character design and the voice work here are both top-notch. There's no visual distinction between Over the Moon and any Disney or even Pixar film, and that's a pretty bold statement. I also want to praise the cultural depth. I was not familiar with the mythology, and I was pleased to be introduced to that. However, the emotional heft of this film may just be too much for most young audiences to bear. I'm not sure I would show this PG-13 film to my kids, but perhaps it wasn't made for them. This is sad. I was crying before the end of the first song, and I was a blubbering mess throughout the entire movie. Some will seek that out, and some will try to avoid that. Obviously, the themes are grief, loss, dealing with sadness, and acceptance, so take that as you will. The other thing that I found to be off was the world building. Unlike an Inside Out, which is another similar film, that did such a great job building both the inner and outer world, explaining their rules and keeping us aware of where we were physically in them, Over the Moon under-delivers on the hometown of Fei-Fei and the world of Lunaria. I was just never quite sure where I was or how that world worked. Do they need space helmets outside? Is there less gravity on the moon? Now rabbits can shoot lasers from their ears. It was all a bit too much, but I do think they brought it home well enough. Bottom line, Over the Moon is a beautiful bit of sadness that is confusingly silly at times and gut-wrenchingly frank at others. What did you think, Rye? Too sad or too bad?
Can I answer neither? I was not a blubbering mess like yourself, but I did get choked up. Let me start with the negative and then work my way toward the positives here, because you actually touched on something I had an issue with, and that was the world building. Dazzling to look at, but I could not agree more that the rules of the world, the boundaries the characters have to play within, are not developed enough. We sometimes overlook this in Pixar films because they're just so good at it. But when you have characters singing, dancing, and playing ping pong on the dark side of the moon, I need to know the rules, man. The sidekick you didn't mention at all, Gobi, voiced by Ken Jeong, was too simplistic for me. But I started to warm up to him as it went along, so I'll give him like a mild pass. And now for the positives. You mentioned watching this on acid. While I wasn't on acid, I was under the influences, and watching this on a Sunday night was amazed by the use of colors. I felt like I was 5 years old in a candy store. I also think shedding light on this myth of the moon goddess was brilliant, as I didn't know much about it either. The ending was warm and made me feel good. I recommend this Netflix animated effort. Now, Phil, you used to be our animation go-to guy, and I know you checked this one out. What do you think?
So I have what I consider to be a hot take. I have tried to find other people who have had this similar opinion, and I haven't found any. And I will do the opposite of what you did, Ryan, and start with my positives. I agree. Visually, it's a masterpiece. I think that there are so many very, very smart choices. And a lot of like the colors that they choose, one of the reasons it's so colorful is to emulate the feeling of being inside of a firework, which is, as we know, a very important aspect of Chinese culture.
Just like Katy Perry flashback.
Yes, but better and not trite. I also really appreciate. You can tell that this was a Eastern story that has been adapted for the West because of it does not have a 3-act structure. Instead of having acts, it has arcs, right? And there are. Right, so the Ken Jeong's character, I forget his name, the little pig, he doesn't come in until like an hour in or something. It's very late in the film because the film is not structured in a Western idea of how you tell a story. It's a very much so East Asian plot structure, which I think really love. Now, my big caveat with it is that I, to an extent, disagree with the representational prevalence of this film. I think it tries really hard, and I appreciate that much of the people who made it were Asian, but I have a huge grievance with Netflix in particular in hiring Asian American writers, hiring Asian American performers and musicians, but failing to hire any Asian Americans on their directorial team. And their food is the parents own a bakery, and there's so many scenes of like cooking with the family and being in this Chinese kitchen. And I think that they were mostly representationally sound because of the producers, but I have to imagine that it could have rung home a lot better if the directors, the people who were hired to envision this film and bring the cohesive package together of the aesthetics, have ever been in that kitchen. And to me, it was clear they hadn't. Like there's little details that to me separate this from being what could have been an Asian American Coco to what it is now. Right? Like there's a scene where the little brother is wearing shoes in the house, and it just bothered me. Right? It's a nitpick to an extent, but it's also like, as an Asian American animator, I was like, okay, well, that's kind of lame. I feel like I can't see myself in the directorial. I can see myself in every other job, and that's really cool, but I feel like I'm being barred from. And this is, in fairness, also a complaint that I was strengthened after the production list of Raya and the Last Dragon sharing the exact same problem for me. But that is my hot take. That it's terrific.
It's a really good hot take. And I also had an issue when the little brother, the stepbrother, says he can run through the wall, and he attempts to run through the wall. How often does this happen in Asian homes, Phil?
I was a stupid little brother, so don't ask that, please.
Yeah, dude, I got 2 little boys that try to run through walls every day. Did you guys know that the world of Lunaria was inspired by the album art from Pink Floyd?
Yes.
Dark Side of the Moon.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's very cool.
It is. So there's something to be said for checking this out under the influence. The Animal Friends, I wanted to bring this up with you guys, just went nowhere. Like, there's a romance between her bunny and Jade Rabbit who was not adequately explained. What was the potion he was making? What was his role? He seemed a little scared, but then he came around like...
But I like that it was mysterious about him. I don't know why, but that rabbit, that Jade Rabbit, I was okay with. But I agree with you. The eyelashes on the other bunny and the way that all summed up at the end, I didn't care for.
Okay, another gripe. The music in this movie. This is a musical, but it is not a Frozen. It's more like Into the Woods. Okay, it's very show-tuney. There's no bangers except for maybe Rocket to the Moon. Maybe. All the other songs are kind of complete throwaways. It's just dialogue that's sung. Am I wrong?
I fully disagree. I think it's cover to cover bangers. What's the Chenga, the Moon Princess's like big musical number? I think it's so ostentatious and so like I love it. Oh my god, I felt like I was watching like I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the exact scene that Shakira did in Zootopia, pretty much.
Oh, absolutely
but
not.
better. It was way better.
All right, you got a
do
movie?
Also. Oh, I apologize. I just wanted to add one more thing. Speaking of Chenga, I do also really appreciate the way that they use her makeup visually to, because she has 3 different makeup changes. One in like the storytelling aspects of when she is with her departed husband. One when she is like the big pop sensation in like the modern day, and then one that's kind of like an intermediary where she accepts her regality and resumes being queen. They are all different eras of specifically Chinese like makeup trends, which I think is so cool to see. I think that was very well done. It was a very subtle thing that they did, but was very, very cool.
Yeah, and actually her costume, the gown that she wears,
gorgeous,
is just absolutely incredible. And I read a fact on that was actually designed by a costume designer who's worked on women's dresses that go to the Met Ball, and here they are doing it in animation. It looked incredible.
No complaints with any of the visuals. I think this film would be just as good on mute.
Oh, come on.
All right, maybe that's a little harsh.
Jeez, you're not kidding. You got a movie poster quote for us?
Over the moon is under the whelm.
What? That's terrible, man.
No, it's pretty good, actually, if you think about it.
No.
What do you got?
I mean, well, because you're selling this thing short. I don't
think so.
You'll want to eat your TV.
Yeah, okay. How many? You said mine was bad. Jeez, how many jaws are you giving this?
3 jaws. I think it's a solid 3-jaw effort from Netflix.
Missed the mark. 2.5 jaws. I do think that it's worth seeing, and with the emphasis on seeing. But like I said, I think it missed its mark emotionally in terms of world building, and the story was a little confusing at times.
Phil, how many jaws?
I give it 4 for representing the people who I think deserve to be represented. I give it a 2 because they did a very good job with what they could, but 2 for socially marginalizing people who did not deserve that.
So where do you land, though, between those two
scores? Let's add those up and divide by 2, carry the 1. I think we got 3 jaws out of Phil.
I think you can surmass what you want. I think you have to, for me, I had to accept that in order to do something good, I had to do something bad. So, and support something that I disagree with.
Why do we bring this guy back, Matt?
I don't know. Just come down on it, Phil.
All right. You got 2.5 jaws from Matt K, 3 jaws from me, and a math equation from Phil. Figure it out for yourself. If you see, agree, disagree, anything you want to comment on Over the Moon, you can always email us, feedback@cinemajaw.com, or shoot us a tweet. We're at Cinemajaw. Obviously, as you heard us discuss, extremely bright colored. And right when we were watching it, the top 5 jumped into our head. Colorful movies. And we reached out to Tayla and said, we're doing colorful films. And she said, perfect. Maybe not. But Tayla, you're our guest this week. Was this an easy list for you to come up with, or did you struggle?
I did like a first round, and then I thought about it, and then I did a second round and updated some of them. It was cool to think about it for a little bit after like my first round of my initial thoughts, and then kind of a little bit more time to think through some of the ones that I was iffy on. But no, cool topic.
You've piqued my interest. So what do you got sitting at number 5?
Now 2 by Kevin Askew.
Blown my mind.
To me.
Yeah.
Over my head.
It's something that Brian showed me. It's like a short animation Brian showed me, and it's
that's Brian Wendorf, the founder of Cuff.
Yeah.
So when he shows you a film, it's going to be something unusual.
It's really cool the way it kind of looks like cartoon animation, but glossy, and it's fragmented. So it has this kind of digital vibe, but it's got that cartoony aspect. It's pretty cool.
Nice. What's it called one more time?
Very colorful, like super colorful. So I was just like, right off the bat, I was like, all right, this totally fits the topic. Now Two by Kevin Eskew, Eskew.
And it's Now Two, like TOO or TWO?
The number.
The number. Okay. I will definitely look that one up.
It's cool. It's super cool. Smoke
All right.
some weed beforehand.
Over to me at number 5. I'm going with SLC Punk. Have you guys seen this?
No.
So listen, it's a send up of punk rock culture. I don't necessarily think it actually speaks for real punk rock culture. It stars Matthew Lillard, who I think most jawheads will be familiar from the first Scream movie.
And Scooby-Doo.
And Scooby-Doo. He plays Shaggy, but he was this tall, blue-haired punk rocker, and the color palette was way oversaturated. All the hair colors, there was like the blue, the green. It was made in the late 90s, so that sort of like fading MTV aesthetic was still prevalent in this film, and it's popular throughout. At the time, colorful pants were really in style, and I think they just get all the regalia of like late 90s punk rock in this movie kind of well. Like they at least researched the fashion well, even if they didn't research the attitude and ideals very well. Doesn't matter. Colorful film, SLC Punk.
Wow. I got 2 written down that I have to see, and we're just getting started here. My number 5, I think we've all seen, and when I say we, I speak of the world. It's the second biggest movie of all time. It held the title all the way up until the Avengers knocked it out. But 2009, and I know, Matt, you poo-poo this pick a little bit. You've come down on this movie. But James Cameron's Avatar, when you're talking about colors, was quite spectacular. And yes, the Na'vi are blue, so it's easy to just say they're blue. But when it was really dazzling was in the night scenes when the pinks start to illuminate underneath the Tree of Souls, and this whole idea that, you know, the entire planet, or in this case, the moon, is connected and everything is alive and connected together. All of that sort of shone through color. And I remember seeing this on the IMAX in 3D and really being wowed by the visuals and the colors being a large part of that.
Style over substance. Unobtainium.
I'm getting excited because they're talking about the sequels again now. So now we got Avatar 2 and 3 just about done shooting. So time to get psyched again, Matt.
Or not, as the case may be.
I knew I was going to get harsh criticism on from Matt. That was my number 5. Into our 4s we go. What do you got sitting there?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is number 4 for me. I love the book. Hunter S. Thompson's huge fan, or I'm a huge fan. I wish he was a huge fan of me. But that film, I thought, did a pretty good job at replicating, or bringing to life the book. I mean, Johnny Depp did he hung out with Hunter for a while to kind of figure out his vibe and how to pull off his character. And I thought, not just bringing acid into the film world and doing a decent job at depicting an experience. The film had different kinds of colors and, like, I would say, experience, not just visually very colorful.
Yeah, definitely. It sure does. What's his name? Benicio del Toro as his lawyer, doctor, assistant, best friend.
You're right.
Dr. Gonzo, right?
Gonzo writing. Yeah.
Great pick. Absolutely wonderful. All right. At number 4, I have Willy Wonka, and I'm going with the original Gene Wilder version. Each of the kids that die in this horror movie one by one have their own unique color palette, and it sort of, like, I guess matches kind of matches the way that they're going to die at the very least. My favorite, of course, being Veruca Salt, who is the bad egg and falls down the egg chute. But then there's, oh man, what was the girl who with the bubble gum? Phil, do you remember?
Blueberry.
Violet. Violet. You're turning violet. I don't remember her last
Violet
name.
Beauregard. Violet Beauregard.
Yes.
So I mean, it's right
How
there.
did you forget a name like that, Matt?
It's right there in the name, right? So I mean, it's inspired by the illustrations in the Roald Dahl book and Willy Wonka with that purple suit. I don't think that Johnny Depp did as well in this one as he did in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. How do you compare to Gene Wilder? You just can't. So that's my number 4.
Nice pick at number 4. I go actually with a Robin Williams film at number 4. This one came out in 1998. And the director was Vincent Ward.
You're stealing my number 1.
Really?
Wow. I'm going
That's
with
cool.
What Dreams May Come for my number 4. I am going to talk about it here, Matt.
Go ahead.
Put it this way. It's difficult if you were trying to paint the afterlife with colors. It's a difficult task, but that's what they try to achieve here. Robin Williams plays a character who dies in a car crash, and he goes to the afterlife, and he gets a spirit guide. And you know who plays the spirit guide, Matt?
Could it be none other than Cuba Gooding Jr.? Snow Dogs himself?
Yes, Cuba Gooding Jr. Shows Robin Williams the money in What Dreams May Come. And what happens here is Williams' wife, the character, his wife ends up committing suicide and going to hell. And we have these colors, these rich colors in Robin Williams' afterlife, the colors after his wife passes away, and they all represent something. They represent some characters in his life, his kids. It's, to be honest, not the absolute best of movies, but when you're talking about using color in a particular visual style, it has to be listed.
Yeah, absolutely. Visually dazzling. There's a reason I had it at number 1, but I'll throw something in. I'll call an audible.
Ooh, inaudible. That always makes me excited, Matt. All right. That was our 4s. Tayla, what do you got sitting at number 3?
Number 3, I have Pig Death Machine by John Moritsugu.
Whoa.
These are the best names ever, Tayla. One more time with that one. Pig Death Machine?
Pig Death Machine. Yeah, by John Moritsugu.
That is also an awesome name for a band.
They have a band too. They're so cool.
Oh, of course. That's great.
Yeah, right. I know. Husband and wife duo. She acts in the film. But it sounds visually like the title for sure. So lots of red and pink, and the whole kind of aesthetic is very pig death, kind of metallic machine, fleshy underground kind of vibes. Another one that I was introduced to through Brian.
Nice pick. I will definitely put that one on my list. All right.
Cool.
Into our number 3s. My number 3 is Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy. It's hot off the heels of the success of Batman, and I don't think at the time, right? I was pretty young. I think it was 1991. Can we throw that in the jaw box? The year of Dick Tracy, Phil. I think it was either 89 or 90 or 91, somewhere in that 3-year span. And it was like the first true blockbuster, because Batman, I don't think anybody knew what was going to happen, but Dick Tracy was like a surefire rocket to the moon. And I had never seen anything like it. Great use of color. All right. That swings it to you, Ryan. What do you got there?
At my number 3, 2007 film, which made huge use of the Beatles songs. I'm going with Across the Universe at number 3. This was a musical that starred Jim Sturgis, Evan Rachel Wood. There's a huge cast, actually. A lot of cameos pop up. You have Bono singing in there. And in fact, the movie itself, in this particular list, the use of colors, great, because obviously the Beatles songs, I mean, the names of the characters in the movie are Jude and Lucy. So you can see how these are going to tie into Beatles songs. And it's a love story that sort of spans the time of war and all the things that the Beatles songs sort of captured. The visuals are beautiful, but what I remember the most is the music.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
And
totally.
yeah, afterwards, I mean, the CD and listening to the cover songs of the Beatles is fantastic, more so than the movie itself. But again, when you're talking about colors, Across the Universe was pretty beautiful to look at.
It's a trip, but there's no doubt about what you're saying about the music is absolutely true. Like Rufus Wainwright's version of Across the Universe, this might be blasphemy, but I honestly like it better than the original.
I don't think it is, because I'm right there with you. I mean, it's gorgeous. I agree.
Totally.
That is my definitive version of Across the Universe. Huge fan. And there's so many. I've went through it not too long ago, and I'm like, wow, there's so many good covers.
It's not hard to sound great when you're covering a Beatles song, though, right?
This is true. My number 3, Across the Universe. Into our 2s we go. Tayla, what do you got there?
I have Modus Operandi by Frankie Latina.
I don't know this one either.
He's out of Milwaukee, I believe.
Ooh, Milwaukee.
It's a disco kind of 1960s, 1970s kind of vibe film, but it has this kind of really texturized pastel, but super retro vibe that it's just visually like I would love to live in a house that was made from the vision board or the dream board when they went into planning this film. It is super beautiful.
Sounds like it. This is
is
another one I got to write down. I'm filling up my queue here.
Ditto. All right. This is where I put Mandy, you guys, at number 2. The whole movie, start to finish, from Cosmatos, right, is just an absolute, I mean, it's right there in the subject matter. It's about kind of drugs and a cult. It's dark, it's brooding, it's in the woods. It reminds me of the first Evil Dead films, but way more ethereal. The music in it is so heavy and slow. It's like that doom metal, modern doom metal, so cool. But the crimsons and the purples and the way that they slowly fade between colors. Oh man, it is just visually stunning. The oranges, they pop off the screen. And then the shot in particular that is forever tattooed on my brain when I close my eyes is your Uber is here with Nicolas Cage at the end of the film, covered in blood, driving the car. And he just looks at the camera and he smiles. Oh my God.
That image.
I'll never forget it. Great movie. One of my favorites of that year. If not my number 1, I believe.
I believe it was your number 1.
Love
nice
that movie.
pick. My number 2 comes to us from the director who gave us Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And this one came out in 2006. It's entitled Curse of the Golden Flower.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
And great use of color, much like you're saying, Matt. I mean, the yellows with the reds clash so perfectly. I mean, they pop off the screen. If you just watch the trailer for Curse of the Golden Flower, it's one of those that's going to make you want to watch the film right away because it just looks just so beautifully shot. And the story is kind of complicated to sum up, but we're back in 928 AD. The emperor is trying to slowly poison his wife. The wife is in love with someone else. The princess is in love with this. So on and so forth.
Yeah.
But you got excellent battle scenes in there, and the color palette in this film is literally gorgeous. Just if you watched it on mute, it would be a treat because of how beautifully it is shot.
Nice, man.
Curse of the Golden Flower.
Curse of the Golden Flower.
I mean, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is no slouch in the color palette department either, so
No.
I will check this one out.
Here it is, Cinemajaw, our number 1s. Tayla, what do you got there?
Mine is The Trip with Peter Fonda.
I've seen it, but it's been a long time.
My dad is a big Deadhead and totally introduced me to this movie. And it is, I think 1967 maybe is when it was made, but
Can we throw that in the fish tank, Phil?
yeah, maybe it was I think it's 1967. It's visually like you're in a kind of very grainy spaceship, and it's fluid. It has the same kind of acid experience, bad trip, good trip. What does that feel like? What does that look like? To the best of your ability to bring to life for your audience to experience. But it also has some cool underlying kind of philosophical components, which I thought was cool to tie in. So it had the both colorful, visually stimulating aspect, as well as like the colorful mind stimulation going on.
Sounds like a good one to check out.
Yeah. I have seen The Trip. Man, I don't even remember. Like, it was one of those movies I think I saw like way too young.
Yeah.
And I only kind of remember it, so I gotta revisit it. All right, at number 1, I had What Dreams May Come. I really do think the way that they paint the afterlife is pretty interesting visually. If I had to sub one out, I would go with Harmony Korine's Spring Breakers. The only reason I didn't put it on my list instead of SLC Punk, frankly, is because I talk about this movie too much. But it's a psychedelic kaleidoscope of neon, especially at the end. In fact, the whole movie just like gets darker and darker, except the neon just gets more and more oversaturated as the film progresses, to the point where it's just black and neon pink in some of the last scenes. The tone, the violence, the themes of that movie, it's very aggressive. It has a lot to say. I think Harmony Korine as a filmmaker in general has a lot to say, and this was definitely one of my favorites.
Nice pick at number 1. I went with the Shortest Rain Best Picture winner of all time. Was Best Picture for about 1 minute and 16 seconds. 2016's La La Land for my number 1 pick, directed by Damien Chazelle. And I think when listeners hear La La Land, they instantly think of this bright yellow dress that Emma Stone wears on the cover of the poster. But the whole movie is such detailed when it comes to the color palette. The blues, when things aren't going right for the characters, the bright colors when they are, a lot of like contemporary colors, and that brightness of LA, what we think of when we think of going to LA and following our dreams, and these bright colors that surround that are very well represented in La La Land. Again, song's beautiful, acting's great, and sometimes the colors that they used in the movie are overlooked, but it's a feast for the eyes.
It is. It was a plausible Best Picture, right? Like, I wasn't like, no, what, they got it wrong. I'm glad it went to ultimately Moonlight, but La La Land's a good flick, especially the visuals.
Honorable mentions before we go to break. Did you have any, Matt?
Yeah, there's a huge one. The Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just think it was way too obvious to actually put on the list, but you got to mention the first color movie. Technically not the very first color movie. They had experimented with painting frames and such, but largely people credit it as being the first. And
yeah, and I do want to say, I have the film. It's been restored, and I have it on Blu-ray. If you watch it, it's amazing to think that film is 81 years old. It pops off the screen, Wizard of Oz. It's gorgeous. Alice in Wonderland, the Tim Burton, Johnny Depp collaboration was
bonkers.
Very vibrant, very vibrant. Mm-hmm. And I love me some Wes Anderson. And boy, the Grand Budapest Hotel is so much fun and so colorful.
The pastels. I was surprised you didn't have that on your list, actually.
Again, because I talk about it quite a bit, and I talk about Wes, it seems like every other episode. So leave them off every once in a while. You know?
Okay. Yeah, fair.
If we missed your favorite film that's got these bright colors that we're speaking of, shoot us a tweet at Cinemajaw, or you can always email us feedback@cinemajaw.com. What we're going to do is take a quick break. When we come back, we have a review of Borat, subsequent movie film, and Tayla is taking Matt on in movie trivia. Stick with us.
To kick off Amy Adams Month on Cinemajaw, we celebrate with this clip where Amy Adams celebrates by herself.
Welcome. How many in your party? 2?
No, just the one.
All right, party of 1, follow me.
I look around, and once again I'm on my own. My man in here, he's gone and done me wrong. No one's gonna stop this girl from having fun. I throw my hands up high and have a party for one. I'm having a me party, a party by myself, a me party.
And we are back on Cinemajaw, hanging out with Taila Howe from the Chicago Underground Film Festival. Again, Tayla, the date is November 9th. Where should Jawheads go to participate in the Chicago Underground Film Festival?
To watch all of our 27th Chicago Underground Film Festival films, you can go to our website, which is www.cuff.org. And if you are in Chicago on November 12th, Thursday, and then Friday, November 13th, we'll be at the Chi-Town Football Drive-In Theater, which is over in Pilsen.
I still have to get out to that venue. There's been so many awesome things there. Like my friends at Riot Fest did a couple of screenings out there, and the Music Box did some too. Am I not mistaken?
The whole 31 days of October Freight Fest.
Month of Horrors. It's awesome too, because you can see the skyline of the city behind the screen, and you're blocked off in kind of this industrial corridor-esque kind of place. So it has this real city, feeling, and it's totally DIY the way that they're projecting it on these crates. It's awesome.
I'm out of excuses. I got to just go. I'll see you at Cuff.
Go to Cuff.
Love it. All right, Matt, before we get to trivia and before we get to our Borat review, we did throw a few items into the fish tank. And since we got Phil swimming back in the tank, let's open up that fish tank.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
DC! Wake up! Wake up! No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yes, thank you guys so much for letting me out. We got a couple of questions in here, but as always, my favorite hobby when I'm out here is slam dunking on Matt and Ryan. And this week, I'm picking Ryan for his weird pronunciation of the name Borat. I don't know where he got Borat from. I chuckle to myself in here every time he says that. That being said, our first question in here was there a top 5 favorite black and white movies, and if so, what episode? Matt had said that it was the Tom Dreesen episode. However, controversy, that was not a top 5 black and white movies, but a top 5 1960s movies. So I think kind of intrinsically a little column A, a little column B. But as far as I could research, there has not been a top 5 black and white proper, right? That could include from King Kong up until The Artist.
Interesting.
Then when did Dick Tracy came out? That came out right at the turn of the decade in 1990 exactly.
Okay, so I was right in there.
And then our last one, when did The Trip come out? And that film came out in 1967. Director Roger Corman edited the film. I assume it's this one at least, because it was edited specifically to simulate the way one's brain races while under the influence of LSD, which is a quote. And I will also caution jawheads listening to be careful not to confuse it with the British film from 2011 of the same name, inspired off of the British television series from 2010. It's a very, you got to look. The SEO is not the best.
What's interesting is Roger Corman. I mean, he became such a master of schlock, you know, but at one time he was sort of a respected filmmaker making art movies. It's weird.
Matt, while we're still in the fish tank, we did get some feedback regarding last week's episode. Up first, Dion Anderson wrote in, "Happy Halloween, Ryan, Matt. Just wanted to say, when I heard your top 5 subject this week, killer spouses, I thought for certain you would both have the same number 1. But alas, neither of you even mentioned the movie that came to my mind immediately, and that was The War of the Roses. Keep on jawing, Dion." And then the beautiful PS from Dion. PS, Phil is an idiot. A spouse is a husband or wife. Matt was correct. Smiley face. Saying it jokingly, Phil. Saying
Lovingly.
It jokingly.
Yeah. Thank you, Dion, for having my back, buddy. I do appreciate it. All right, Ryan. We also heard from Sandy from Plainfield, who wrote us to say, while maybe not the best Brad Pitt movie or the best Angelina Jolie film, I was shocked nobody mentioned Mr. and Mrs. Smith in your Killer Spouses episode. Not 1, but 2 in the same movie. Love the podcast, Sandy. Yeah, that's a good point, Sandy.
Yeah, I've never seen it all the way through. I think I managed to knock off about 40 minutes and I fell asleep on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I agree. It's maybe not the best, but it's, it's a fun little...
Culturally impactful.
Right. Unplug your brain and enjoy the eye candy.
Yeah, you got that one, Matt?
You want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
Last but certainly not least, Darren Mordecai wrote us from all the way out in New Zealand to say, Phil is back. 3 exclamation points, Phil. Great to hear from him. That's what Darren wrote.
It's great to be back, both Darren and Dion, even though Dion was maybe a little less nice about it.
Well, we love the feedback, Jawhead, so keep it coming. Write us feedback@cinemajaw.com. I think that's all we got in the fish tank, isn't it, Matt?
It is indeed.
All right, let's close that fish tank.
You bet.
Prior to 2006, when people heard the word Borat and they thought it was a type of large city rat. But after the release of the Sacha Baron Cohen film, when people heard Borat, they would suddenly reply, "Very nice." Well, a lot has changed in 14 years. Or has it? Borat is back with his subsequent Moviefilm, and Matt and I made sure we would not fall for a prank while watching it.
14 years ago, I released Moviefilm, which brought great shame to Kazakhstan. But now I was instructed to return to Yankee Land to carry out secret mission. I go to America! Borat! What do you say? No, it's not me.
Borat, come back!
People may recognize my face. I would need disguises. This man is sex criminal?
No, no sex criminal.
I will take this to be a fat like American man. Yeah? This is a good one. Where is his crumb?
I remember Borat Mania well. I was in the dark on the character, the movie, and the name going into the opening weekend in 2006. I made a rare appearance at AMC on a Saturday night. I hate this time to see a movie because it's so crowded. Amateur hour, I called it. But what I remember was the excitement in the lobby of the AMC 21. There were lines forming for the next screening of Borat, and people coming out of other screenings were saying, "Very nice," and laughing about some naked wrestling scene. I was intrigued. When I finally did see it, I joined in on the laughter and the silliness. A movie that had that big of impact and done in that style, I figured we would never get another film. But here we are. The plot this time around has Borat on a mission to deliver his 15-year-old daughter to the president of the USA. If not Trump, he will offer to Mike Pence. And if not Pence, then Rudy Giuliani. Along the way, Borat and his daughter talk to unknowing participants about everything from abortion to buying a new cell phone. While I did laugh many times throughout, I was saddened that in the 16 years since the first Borat, not much has changed. And I must state, I'm not a very big fan of this kind of particular joke. You know, these practical jokes, fake news reporting style humor. Too many edits for me that question the authenticity of the jokes and the reactions. Matt, did Borat work for you this time around?
Okay, so confession right here at the top. I never saw the original Borat movie.
What?
I know. Just never got around to it. It wasn't like something I didn't want to see. It didn't happen, right? So I had a choice before I sat down to watch the Borat subsequent movie film, which is a brilliant title, by the way. It goes on from there. We got to get the full title. Phil, can you look it up while we're talking about this? And I decided to not watch the original. I wanted to make that experiment to see if I would enjoy the second movie, having not watched the first. Of course, I'm kind of familiar with Borat from all the other media, the Ali G show and all of that stuff. So yeah, did I think it worked? Yeah, it's fine, I guess. I'm with you, that Jackass style of editing, the old MTV prank show type thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's super prevalent in this. And I totally question the authenticity. His daughter, Tayla, her character has such a great arc, though, that I couldn't help but fall in love with her character. There's enough stuff that's obviously real, because Rudy Giuliani does not agree to be in a Sacha Baron Cohen film. That just is not happening. So they pranked Rudy for reals. And the whole idea of film as performance art or performance art as film is super interesting. And I think Sacha Baron Cohen is a comedic genius. I'm just not sure that Borat is the best expression of that comedic genius.
Well, I mean, it's tough for you not having seen the first one, because I think a lot of these jokes and the style worked a lot better, in my opinion, in the first film than it did in the subsequent sequel here. But just a couple of funny scenes that I want to highlight here. One is I love this. This is actually what I would call simple humor, but and wholesome for a Borat movie. But he goes to one of these computer stores that has a fax machine, and he's faxing the prime minister of Kazakhstan,
the premier,
and he's faxing him. But the way he's faxing him is the way we would text nowadays. So the first fax he asks the guy to send him is just "sup," and he just sends that back, and they wait until he writes back, and he writes back "sup," and they keep going back and forth.
Chillin', yeah.
The way we would text, but it's taking an hour through this conversation of fax. That kind of stuff is very, very funny to me. Again, simple humor.
But obviously staged and written on the page.
Right, staged and written. Mike Pence scene. So I wanted to bring it up. This is what I'm talking about, where I don't think it worked as much, and I question the authenticity of it. I do think that he was in the room, and he's trying to disrupt
Pence's speech
that Mike Pence is giving. But I watched the scene twice to make sure I wasn't crazy. And the reactions that they end up using of Mike Pence in the movie is supposed to give us this idea that he stopped or is flustered or confused on what's going on in the audience. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think those were just facial expressions Mike Pence was making during the speech that they just were able to edit quick enough to give us the idea that Mike Pence was upset that this character dressed at this point as Donald Trump carrying a girl around his shoulder was disrupting him. I don't think he got close enough for Mike Pence even to probably notice what was going on in the room. That was my take on it.
Fair enough, man. Could very well be. I'll have to watch it again with a different eye. That one didn't jump out to me as much as the Rudy stuff, which has been picked apart now because what's kind of the climax of the film hit the internet and the news media was covering this, like Rudy Giuliani's in the new Borat film with his hands down his pants. I don't think it's as bad as all that. And I definitely think that they used some creative angles and like they shot it 2 different ways, you know? So they made it look like I think he was genuinely just tucking his shirt in. Was he a little touchy feely? Yeah, maybe. Is it creepy to be in a room drinking scotch with Rudy Giuliani as a 24-year-old woman? Yes, that is really creepy. Like,
and she's supposed to be 15 in the movie.
Well, no, but to Rudy,
right.
She was not presented as a 15-year-old. Let's make that clear, right? I'm not defending Rudolph Giuliani at all. I just want to put that up right out on Front Street. But I also think that to a certain degree, they're a little bit misrepresenting that.
I agree. You got a movie poster quote for us?
Yeah, I do. 2 high fives for Borat. Sacha Baron Cohen's performance is very nice.
I went sort of along the same lines.
You kind of have to.
My movie poster quote would be kinda very nice.
How many Jaws?
2 Jaws. I'm going 2 Jaws.
I mean, I guess I was a little kinder on this one. I gave it 2.5. It's culturally relevant right now. It's going to be 2.5 Jaws in a year. I don't know.
Wait, how did Jaws work?
Like stars.
Yeah,
out
like
of 5.
stars.
Okay.
Out of 4.
Out of 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Tayla, have you seen either of the Borat films? Did you see the first one?
I saw the first one a long time ago. So now I mentioned to you earlier, I saw the Chicago 7 recently, and now you guys talking about Borat 2. I feel like I should tune in.
I think it's worth checking out. Like, again, like right now, it means a lot. After the election, I guess maybe depending on which way things go, it may not be as culturally relevant. It's a movie that is very like laser focused on the right now.
And it really did feel like an event film. We are in isolation here. Everybody's streaming these movies at home, and we've lost that connection of feeling like everybody's watching this particular movie on this weekend. But Borat here really felt that way. I mean, I watched it, and then I was somewhere where I mentioned it, and like 5 people that I was around had all seen the movie like throughout that day. So I think it's quite popular on Amazon Prime.
I did pull up the entirety of the title. Are you guys comfortable? Because it is a long one.
Yeah.
The full name is Borat Subsequent Movie Film, Delivery of Prodigious Bribe to American Regime for Make Benefit Once Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
That's how you name a movie, Ryan.
There it is. All right. You can hear the music playing, Jawheads. On to trivia we go. This is how we like to end all of our podcasts. Playing some movie trivia. And in honor of Amy Adams, we're celebrating her all month of November. We are playing alliteration movie trivia. So, and not only alliteration, but actress specific alliteration. So all actresses here have the same letter, first name and last name beginning with. Tayla, you're our guest. You get to choose if you want to go first. Let Matt go first. There are steals, and if you get hung up on any question, you get 1 Rescue Me Ryan. I have clues to all the questions. And Tayla, they start off easy.
Matt can go first.
Question number 1 over to Matt K. Matt. This actress voiced Vanellope in Wreck-It Ralph and starred in the indie film I Smile Back.
Sarah Silverman.
That is correct, Matt K.
I love Vanellope.
Damn.
I love Sarah Silverman. Very funny.
Me too. She's awesome.
Very funny. 1-0, Matt, over to Tayla. Question 2. This Hollywood legend starred in Some Like It Hot, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and The 7-Year Itch.
I have no idea.
Any guess?
None. Absolutely none.
Oh boy, this is a tough one, Matt.
I mean, it's Marilyn Monroe.
Yes, Marilyn Monroe.
So not a tough one.
2-0.
I don't know. I mean, she is like not, today's it girl. That was a long time ago.
Question 3 over to Matt K. Matt, Holly Hunter has won 1 Oscar for Best Actress. Now, it happened in the same movie Anna Paquin won for Best Supporting Actress. Name the movie.
Anna
Holly
Paquin.
Hunter and Anna Paquin won Oscars in the same movie.
Well, Anna Paquin won the Oscar at a very young age. Like, this is before the X-Men movie.
He's on to something here, folks.
So, I mean, she was a little girl. And I can see her at the Oscars holding the statue, and I can see Holly Hunter, but I can't remember the freaking movie. It was a Western. Home on the Plain. I have no idea.
That is absolutely incorrect. Nothing right about that answer. Tayla, you got a chance for a steal. Any guess here? What movie Holly Hunter and Anna Paquin won an Oscar for? You do have a clue if you need it.
It's not. Are they sisters? Are they twins in the movie?
Boy, that's a tough one to answer since I have not actually seen the movie myself.
It's not The Parent Trap, is it?
No, it is not.
Damn it. I don't know.
We were looking for the piano. The piano.
Yeah.
It's on my list to see. It is currently 2-0, Matt K. Question 4 over to Tayla. Here we go. This actress won an Oscar opposite Jack Nicholson in As Good as It Gets.
Nicole Kidman?
Oof. Incorrect. Man. Matt, we got a chance for a steal here.
It's one of my favorite movies. I've seen it so many times. Helen Hunt.
Yes. That is correct. No. Wow. This is not looking good, Tayla.
Yeah,
it is 3-0, Matt K. And question 5 is over to him. Matt, name the actress who appears in the film Begin Again, The Duchess, and Atonement. Name the actress who appears in Begin Again.
I'll take a clue on this one, Ryan.
Wow. A clue on question number 5. Your clue starts with the letter K.
Catherine Keener.
Oh, that is incorrect. I don't even know.
Catherine Keener? Is that?
Oh. Okay, that's who you're looking for. Catherine Keener. That is incorrect. You do have a chance for a steal here, Tayla. Actress starts with the letter K, who appeared in Begin Again, The Duchess, and Atonement.
Keira Knightley.
She nailed it.
Nice.
I think she's stunned. She's stunned over there.
Yeah. Totally stunned.
She is back into the ball game 3-1, and question 6 is over to Tayla. Courtney Cox has appeared in 1 Jim Carrey movie. Name it. Courtney Cox has appeared in 1 Jim Carrey movie.
Can I have a clue?
You can have a clue. Wow. Question number 6. We got a clue here. Your clue has to do with animals or pets.
Was it Ace Ventura?
Yes. She is right back into the ball game here. 3-2.
Good movie.
That is a great movie, actually.
Strong. 3-2. Question 7 over to Matt K. Matt, and mind you, Jawheads, lifelines are all used up here. Matt, Lucy Liu plays a character named Viper in what film series?
Film series, huh? Viper, Lucy Liu. I'm going to guess Charlie's Angels.
Oh, so close, but so far away, Matt K. Tayla, you got a chance for a steal here and to tie the game up. Lucy Liu plays a character named Viper in what film series?
Is it Kill Bill?
Ooh, I was thinking that's what Matt was going to guess.
Damn.
Incorrect also. We're looking for Kung Fu Panda. Kung Fu Panda. This is where it stands. 3-2. Last question of the game is over to Tayla, and she can tie it up. Name the actress who starred in the films Outbreak, Tin Cup, and Get Shorty.
Am I out of clues?
You're out of clues. But since you've been a great guest, you get one more clue, at least this much. It starts with the letter R.
R. She
R.
starts with the little letter R.
Yep. Actress in Outbreak, Tin Cup, and Get Shorty starts with R.
Oh, man, I have no idea. Zero clue. Matt.
You got a guess on this one?
Who was that MMA fighter who was undefeated? She was such a total badass. Ronda Rousey. That's my guess.
Wow. Incorrect also.
It wasn't her?
Incorrect also. No, we're looking for Renee Russo. Renee Russo. All right. Matt does win this one 3-2. Can we get a virtual handshake here? Or fist? Yeah, there you go. Perfect. All right. Good. If it came down to a jawbreaker, this question would have been over to Tayla. Courtney Cox, worst actress from the Friends television show? Yes or no?
I would say she would be my least favorite.
Yeah, that's a correct answer right there. The real jawbreaker was this. Age of Lucy Liu, closest to. Matt, you got a guess on how old Lucy Liu is?
53.
Lock him in at 53, Phil. Tayla, you got a guess?
Is Lucy Liu the Kung Fu Panda that you just said was in Kung Fu?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And she is the person in Kill Bill you were thinking of.
Yep, she's also in Kill Bill, correct.
How old is she now?
Yeah.
58.
Give that one to Matt. 51. 51 for Lucy Liu.
Okay.
Turns 52 in December.
Well, happy birthday, Lucy. Early.
Yep. Well, it does bring us to the end of a great jaw. And first and foremost, we have to thank our guest. Tayla, this has been a pleasure. Best of luck with Chicago Underground Film Festival. Hope we get out there and see you, meet you in person.
Yeah, that would be awesome. You should totally come.
And if not, we'll totally see you in Minecraft, right?
Yes,
At the
that's
Empty
on the
Bottle.
17th. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Matt, we also got to thank our sponsors.
Yep. Thanks to Overcast and the Chicago Podcast Co-op who help us get great sponsors like them.
Yeah, we also got to thank the guy in the fish tank, Phil. Fill me in, Phil. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, fun night, and we have to say Happy Halloween, which doesn't matter for anyone listening because it already passed, but it didn't happen for us yet.
Happy
Halloween, Phil.
Absolutely. If you want to support Cinemajaw, the easiest way to do so is by leaving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
And while you're there, please click subscribe. One extra button for you helps us out tremendously.
Until next week, I'm Rye, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay. And keep on jawing about the movies.